I think it's evident that I've been slowly getting to the Resident Evil series, so when I saw Resident Evil 8 come out, I thought, hey, might as well try to play this as soon as I can. And I can't say I didn't really have high expectations for the game, but I was also kind of hyped since the trailers that they showed looked really cool. And I kind of assumed that the village in the game would be the main area, considering it's called Resident Evil Village, but I'm kind of glad it wasn't, at least 100%, since the areas in the game all pretty spooky, and I found it again pretty cool. Also, just so you know, the footage here was recorded by a user named Kino, so do me a favor and check out his channel, which he is linked in the description below. He's a cool dude, he does streams, and he streams various games. And don't worry, again, just check it down below if you want to, watch his stuff, and I'd say just watch it after you're done this video. But now I think it's a good time to actually get into my videos, so, the first thing I ended up really liking definitely had to be the gameplay. It's really solid and smooth, which is great for a game where all you do is shoot. All the guns felt really powerful, and trying to manage all the different monster patterns I found to be very fun. Along with that, upgrading them was really nice and rewarding since you got parts from monsters, and somewhat had to go back to previous areas just to, get other stuff. And while the movement is a bit slower than I would have liked, it's not a big deal since I think it at least helps me feel more on edge when there's monsters close by, and, that way I just don't zoom past everything, and it helps me look around more often. I also enjoyed the puzzles for the most part in this game, and I felt they were pretty rewarding to solve. And while they might not be the hardest puzzles in the series, I don't mind them as much since, again, for the most part they were made well enough. The ones in the dollhouse have to be my favorite since you have to, be limited to a few rooms, and seeing what piece goes into what is really fun. And the game looks amazing from the areas to the characters and the monsters. I especially really like the area design because it helps them feel a lot more scary and, makes me feel on edge when exploring. I also really enjoyed the boss design as well. They all really looked grotesque when they transform, and they had nice designs in the monster and their normal form. I originally played this on PC, so I would imagine even the console versions would look pretty nice. And on the bosses, I actually found them pretty fun to fight. The arenas where you fight them in are small enough where he keeps the tension up, and they're big enough to where you can actually at least do shit. My favorite has to be fighting its Monroe, since it's just a big chase leading him down certain path to help deal the most damage to him. Other bosses like the vampire sisters were also nice too, since you have to carefully put them near the window and try not to die in the process, because if you do that, then you can freeze them and then just shoot them. And the replayability in the game is also pretty nice, with getting upgrades for the guns, dealing with different monster patterns on higher difficulties, and Mercenary Mode. I think the only real thing that sucks about Mercenary Mode is that Ethan's the only playable character, but there's still a decent amount to do after a single playthrough. And I really like the fact that, there are different monster placements, since if you do the higher difficulties, you are still on edge for the most part, since you don't know what's going to show up. And even with Mercenary Mode, there is obviously getting the best high score, along with, getting a lot of points, so that way you can buy guns for the main story mode. But even then, there's still a bit more Capcom can do later on if they do, or when they add DLC. I just don't know, obviously when it's going to be, since they never really talk about it. But I still think with the base game, it's pretty great overall. I had a ton of fun seeing the events of the story play out, along with the gameplay, again, just being really solid. And I'm hyped for whatever DLC comes out for it. But even with all those likes, there are a few things I just don't really like as much, and one of them definitely has to be the lack of unlockables. This isn't really directed towards the alt or the weapons, it's mostly just towards modes and playable characters. I kind of wish that in Mercenary Mode you had characters like Chris and other Stars members and whoever else. Maybe they can also have different abilities to have to make them more unique. And in terms of mode, maybe having a randomizer mode you can unlock where all the weapons in the main game are randomly placed. Again, I just wish there was more stuff you can unlock that kind of affects the main game, other than just having different weapons you can use in the main story. Another aspect I didn't really like was the progression, since it feels a little bit more forced here. At least that's how I can best explain it, because in other RA games you never knew when the end goal was in sight, and with Resident Evil 8 you can kind of see where it's going and how it's going to end. While it's not the worst thing, I just liked how the other game stories flowed a bit better. And while with the other games you can really just figure out the puzzles one by one, and that's how it is with Resident Evil 8 as well, it's just that with 8, whenever you get an item to figure out a puzzle, it's usually locked to that area. Where in something like Resident Evil Remake, you can get an item but may not be able to use it until like 2 areas later or something like that. And that's just an example. I don't think it's actually the case, but you get the idea with that. And that's kind of why I don't like the progression here, since it just feels like you're locked to one area at a time and you don't have to think about, oh well, do I have to use this item at, say, the factory part and stuff like that. But I still say I really enjoyed Resident Evil 8. It's a really solid game with really good action and fun puzzles for whenever the game did have them. There's even some other minor things I just felt were kind of weak, like how some of the areas felt longer or shorter with no in between, like how the middle parts to me kind of just felt short, and then the first area and the last area kind of just lasted a lot longer than I expected. But even with that, I don't mind as much, since again the areas were fun for where they lasted. But with that, I really want to hear what you guys ended up liking and disliking with this entry. Let me know in the comments below, and of course before the video ends, I'll go over my own likes and dislikes. Likes: solid / smooth gameplay, really nice puzzles, really good graphics, fun bosses, and good replayability. Dislikes: not a whole lot of rewarding unlockables, and progression isn't as natural as other Resident Evil games. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, sub, and follow my Twitter, which is down below. Also, don't forget to sub to Kino's channel, which is also in the description down below. See you guys later.